It's easy at shehe.com.
Tonight, several developing stories as we come on the air. President Trump explaining himself again tonight after what he said today. A question from our Cecilia Vega asking, is Russia still targeting the U.S.? The president saying no, even though his director of national intelligence said otherwise, just saying that the warning lights are blinking red. Tonight, the White House now saying that is not what the president meant this morning. Also tonight, new reporting. The young Russian woman here in the U.S. now charged, accused of being an agent of the Kremlin. What she said in court late today. Prosecutors now saying she was offering sex for influence. And these images tonight from investigators at the Trump inauguration and at this dinner, and what they say it shows. The shark scare on the East Coast, where 2 children attacked by sharks on 2 separate beaches. What authorities are now saying, those beaches closed. The wildfires raging in the West, the new fire already exploding in size. From Oregon to California, the worries and the fears tonight at Yosemite. The plane crash, the images from inside the cabin now. Investigators now studying the images. What caused the plane to go down? The pictures coming in at this hour, the massive condominium fire. And the miracle rescue. Those boys now headed home, but describing what it was like. At one point, they were going to dig their way out. How hungry they were, and what they did to conserve energy.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a very busy Wednesday night. And we begin tonight with the firestorm involving an answer from President Trump this morning. Asked by our Cecilia Vega, is Russia still targeting the U.S.? He said no. Tonight, the White House now says that's not what he meant. It comes after appearing side to side there with Vladimir Putin, appearing to side with Putin over his own intelligence agencies while on the world stage. Today's answer comes after the president's own director of national intelligence has insisted recently that Russia is still at it and that the warning lights are blinking red. ABC senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega leading us off.
Just 24 hours after President Trump declared his full faith in America's intelligence agencies, and even with his own director of national intelligence warning Russia is right now targeting the U.S., President Trump today offered this stunning contradiction.
Is Russia still targeting the U.S., Mr. President?
Press, let's go. Make your way out.
No, you don't believe that to be the case?
We asked not once, but twice, and twice the president replied no. It directly contradicts the director of national intelligence, who said Russia is behind ongoing pervasive efforts to undermine our democracy. And that's not all.
I'm here to say the warning lights are blinking red again. Today, the digital infrastructure that serves this country is literally under attack.
From Republicans today, near universal condemnation.
If he really believes Russia's not interfering in our 2018 election, I'm dumbfounded by that statement.
I don't know what drives this. It's baffling, I think, to all of us who have concerns about the integrity of our elections.
The president is wrong, and he should heed the warnings of the intelligence community.
The president was already under fire for failing to publicly confront Vladimir Putin for meddling in the 2016 election and siding with Russia's leader over his own intelligence community.
President Putin denied having anything to do with the election interference in 2016. Every U.S. intelligence agency has concluded that Russia did. Who do you believe?
My people came to me, Dan Coates came to me, and some others. They said they think it's Russia. I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be.
That exchange leading to an unheard of walkback from President Trump, who claimed that really it was all just a one-word mess up.
In a key sentence in my remarks, I said the word would instead of wouldn't. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't, or why it wouldn't be Russia. So, just to repeat it, I said the word would instead of wouldn't. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be Russia. I think that probably clarifies things pretty good by itself.
Less than 24 hours later, at the White House, yet another head-spinning cleanup effort. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders says the president wasn't actually saying no to our question about whether Russia is still targeting the U.S.
We had a chance to speak with the president after those comments, and the president said thank you very much and was saying no to answering questions.
So we asked for a clarification of the clarification.
I just want to clarify what you just said. Dan Coats said point blank the threat is still ongoing from Russia. Does this White House believe that currently this threat is still ongoing?
We believe that the threat still exists, which is why we are taking steps to prevent it.
And Cecilia Vega joining us live tonight from the White House. And Cecilia, Sarah Sanders saying point blank the president wasn't actually answering your question when he said no?
Well, David, you saw the video there. There is no doubt that President Trump heard my questions, both of those questions, mind you. He looked directly at me when he was answering both of those questions. And when Sarah Sanders says that his no meant that he didn't want to answer questions, well, that is exactly what the president then went on to do. He answered another question from another reporter. So, David, here we are for the second time this week where the White House is now once again in cleanup mode over the president's words on Russia.
Cecilia Vega leading us off tonight. Cecilia, thank you. And for the first time tonight, we're now hearing what President Trump says he told Vladimir Putin during that 2 hours they spent together alone in Helsinki with only their interpreters. Did he warn Putin against meddling? What the president now says tonight. The president's interpreter sitting right there next to President Trump, and now some lawmakers on the Hill want that interpreter up on the Hill to answer questions, saying it's the only way they'll know for sure what really happened in the room. Here's ABC's Tom Llamas.
They were behind closed doors, face to face, for more than 2 hours. And now, days after the summit, it's still unclear exactly what was said. But tonight, President Trump told CBS News he warned Vladimir Putin not to meddle in American elections, something he did not mention during that news conference in Helsinki.
Very strong on the fact that we can't have meddling, we can't have any of that. I let him know we can't have this, we're not going to have it, and that's the way it's going to be.
The only people who would have heard that, Putin, his interpreter, and President Trump's own interpreter, Marina Gross. Tonight, Senate Democrats, including New Hampshire Senator Jeanne Shaheen, calling on Gross to testify before the Foreign Relations Committee and turn over any notes about that meeting.
We need to have the president share with us what happened at that meeting. If he won't do it, then the interpreter should come and we should make sure that we know what happened.
The Republican chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee saying he'd consider it.
I'm not sure it's even appropriate. And we're checking that. If it is, certainly we'll pursue it.
Today, the White House says if Congress wants this, talk to the State Department. The State Department says they're still waiting on an official Senate request for their interpreter.
As a general matter, we always seek to work with Congress, and that's all I have on this.
All right, so let's get right to Tom Llamas with us here on the desk tonight. And bottom line, Tom, how likely is it they can get this interpreter, this translator, up before the Hill?
David, it's still unclear, but it seems unlikely. The State Department even said today they're not sure if there's even any precedent for this. And of course, we have to remember the president could always invoke executive privilege, arguing he needs discretion to negotiate more effectively.
All right, Tom Llamas with us tonight. Tom, thanks as always. This evening, we do have new reporting here on the Russian woman here in America, now charged and behind bars, accused of being a Russian agent. Her attorneys arguing that she should be freed on bail. But tonight, right here, prosecutors laying out why they believe she is a flight risk, saying she had money and she was ready to bolt. Prosecutors accusing her of offering sex in exchange for a position with a special interest organization. ABC's Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas now.
Tonight, a federal judge ordering alleged Russian agent Maria Butina be held behind bars pending trial. Federal prosecutors arguing the 29-year-old gun rights activist is an extreme flight risk, saying just days before her arrest, she was packing boxes and sending money to Russia. And the government claims that Butina was willing to go to extreme measures to infiltrate the American political system and the NRA. Prosecutors accusing Butina of offering sex in exchange for a position in an unidentified special interest organization. According to prosecutors, one of her alleged Russian contacts joking in one message about her high profile in the U.S. You have upstaged Anna Chapman. She poses with toy pistols, while you're being published with real ones. A reference to another red-headed Russian who was arrested for spying in 2010. Investigators say Butina was involved in a personal relationship with an unidentified American who was instrumental in aiding her covert influence operation. And now growing questions about this moment at a 2015 conference when she asked then-candidate Trump about Russia.
Do you want to continue the politics of sanctions?
I believe I would get along very nicely with Putin, okay? And I mean where we have the strength. I don't think you'd need the sanctions.
During her time in the U.S., the FBI claims she was reaching out to politicians and those in power. Here she is at President Trump's inauguration. And sources say she even briefly met the president's son, Don Jr., at an NRA convention, all the while allegedly receiving funding from a Russian oligarch and maintaining contact with Russian intelligence, like the one prosecutors claim you see here in this photograph. The charges against her not part of the Mueller investigation. Officials say Butina's case is reflective of how broad and deep ongoing Russian infiltration efforts are, beyond the indictment of those 12 Russian military intelligence officers, now charged with hacking. And when Putin was shown the indictment,
I have here the indictment that says that 12 members of Russian military intelligence, the GRU, and they talk specifically about units 26-165 and 74-455. They say, you smile, let me finish. They say that these units were specifically involved in hacking into Democratic Party computers, stealing information, and spreading it to the world to try to disrupt the American election. May I give this to you to look at, sir? Here?
I want to say it now again, and I really wish for your American listeners to listen to what I say. Russia, as a state, has never interfered with the internal affairs of the United States, let alone its elections.
What Vladimir Putin told Fox News. And Pierre, let's get back to the Butina case, the woman charged here in the U.S. She pleaded not guilty today. Her lawyer now insisting that she is not a flight risk.
That's right, David. He said she's no flight risk, that she had her residence searched by the FBI in April, and that she did not flee. But prosecutors successfully argued that Butina could go to an embassy or get into a diplomatic vehicle and be beyond U.S. law enforcement's reach. David?
Pierre, thank you. Now to the wildfire dangers expanding in the West at this hour. At least 48 large fires burning right now. A new fire erupting near Portland, Oregon, already exploding in size tonight. Several structures burned to the ground, forcing evacuations. And near Yosemite, 2 firefighters injured battling the deadly Ferguson fire. Campgoers warned to be ready to leave. ABC's Clayton Sandell is in the fire zone for us tonight.
David, we're in a bit of a precarious position here. There is fire below us and fire above us on this ridge, but I want you to take a look and see just how steep and treacherous this terrain is for firefighters. The Ferguson fire is over 17,000 acres now. About 1,800 firefighters are here trying to contain it. They are getting some good news from the weather. They expect some thunderstorms to move in, which could bring some rain, but on the other hand, those thunderstorms could also bring dry lightning and high winds. That would be bad news for this firefight. David?
Clayton Sandell tonight. Clayton, thank you. And now to the Miracle Boys going home tonight. For the first time, we're hearing from those 12 boys rescued from that cave in Thailand. How hungry were they? And what they did to conserve energy. ABC's James Longman is back in Thailand for us tonight.
The team the whole world supported, trading hospital gowns for soccer jerseys, telling the world about their terrifying ordeal. They say they tried digging out of that cave. After 2 days, they say hunger set in, so they stayed still to conserve energy. And we're learning tonight, despite what officials claimed, the boys do know how to swim, but the waters kept rising. Adol here in the front, describing the moment they were found.
How many of you?
He said hearing those British divers was like a miracle.
Finally, after all this time, they can go home. How are you feeling?
T telling us it's great to be home. And this cleansing ceremony for night, a tradition here, welcoming their lost boy finally home.
When asked what they wanted to be as adults, some said soccer players, of course, but others said SEALs, as a way of giving thanks to the Thai Navy SEAL who gave his life for their rescue. David?
We're just glad they're going home. James Longman, our thanks to you again tonight. And back here at home this evening, we are learning about the death of a Secret Service agent. Special Agent Noel Remigen, a married father of 2, suffered a fatal stroke while in Scotland protecting the president during his trip last weekend. The president and the First Lady were at Joint Base Andrews today when his body was returned to the U.S. There is still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Wednesday. The shark scare on the East Coast tonight, where 2 children attacked by a shark on 2 separate beaches. Also, the plane crash and the new video emerging from inside the cabin. Investigators now studying the images, what caused that plane to go down. The Major League All